Sunshine, strip clubs, and streetcars.
Convention Center, Embassy Suites Marriott, Harbor Island.
This is Tampa, Florida.
You get to meet a lot of interesting people when you're doing this.
It's no different than running the bus system.
12 years ago, Bob Buckhorn was on the city council, and he was the only person to vote against the mustard yellow and ketchup-colored cars.
I think there was some mismanagement and misperceptions about how financially secure it would be, and they've all come to fruition.
Now that he's Mayor Buckhorn, he and taxpayers have to deal with the major problem in Paradise.
It can be successful. In our case, that didn't happen. And so that's why we find ourselves in the predicament that we do.
About 330,000 people will ride the 2.7-mile line this year, a 50% drop in ridership since 2010. Money is running out, which is why the nostalgic car is covered with beer and baseball ads. The cars, which go from the convention center past Carnival Cruises and stop in Ybor City, only run every 20 minutes near the historic Columbia restaurant.
It has potential, but I don't think the potential's been realized.
A round trip is also expensive.
Our fares have gone up quite a bit from the very beginning. It used to be like $2 to ride the streetcar.
Years ago, when the federal government offered money to help fund the project, Tampa took it.
There are strings attached if a city accepts federal money. Here in Tampa, if this line ever shuts down, the city would have to pay the feds about $50 million. It's money the city doesn't have.
So to keep the project on track, Tampa taxpayers will have to subsidize it.
This has been described as a touristy toy streetcar in a ridership death spiral. Is that fair?
I think it's in its current configuration. It's probably fairly accurate.
We discovered that the same company, URS Corporation, who helped to get the Tampa project going, has been working with city planners in Minneapolis. URS was part of the Portland line, too, which, unlike Tampa, has helped create $3.5 billion in development and 10,000 new housing units. The Portland line keeps expanding, and about 3.5 million people ride it every year. Both Minneapolis and St. Paul point to Portland's success. Even the cars would look similar, and they would travel in the same lane of traffic as cars, buses, and bikes. But in this report, called The Great Streetcar Conspiracy, the Cato Institute found the city of Portland gave developers hundreds of millions of dollars of incentives to build in the streetcar corridor. Hardly any new development happened where developers didn't receive subsidies. A study in St. Paul found 7 routes would work. One option has cars cruising down Grand Avenue. The price tag? About $50 million a mile. Operational costs not included. The Minneapolis line, which is further along than the St. Paul project, is something that exiting Mayor R.T. Ryback believes in.
And this is the right place for a streetcar. That's not something we just came to because we thought they were cute.
The majority of the city council agrees. The first line will run 3.4 miles from the Kmart near Lake Street and Nicollet Avenue, up Nicollet, across the Hennepin Avenue Bridge, and stop near Kramarczek's in Northeast. Bus ridership is already high here, but buses are a lot cheaper to run.
Are we putting in streetcars because, generally speaking, rich people don't want to ride buses?
It's a great question, but that's not what we're doing.
Ryback says economic development will follow.
If the bus system was going to spur thousands of units of new development, it would have happened.
The Minneapolis price tag is about $200 million, and the city says it would cost $10.6 million to operate a year.
There's something about the clacking of a trolley as it goes down the street that adds ambiance to a community. But $200 million is a lot of ambiance.
The Florida mayor can't go back, so he urges caution.
And so I would hope that Mayor Ryback and Mayor Coleman.
We took parts of this mayor's interview to our mayors.
Do you feel like you're not doing what Tampa has done?
Tampa built a streetcar where they should have had light rail, and they put amateurs in charge instead of professionals.
The fact that they call it a trolley is very different. I mean, that suggests even, that you're, riding along, in San Francisco with a box of rice-a-roni.
But the push to make something old new again comes when taxpayers are already forking over money for the new Vikings Stadium and light rail.
At what point does taxpayer fatigue set in?
When I came into office, the city was spending a lot of money subsidizing individual development projects, and then we put a screeching halt onto that and said, we're going to invest in the common good and infrastructure that helps everyone.
Ryback is confident spending now will decrease property taxes in the future. The plan is that streetcars will be used by locals, taxpayers, not just tourists, and eventually buses could be phased out where streetcars go in. Both Minnesota mayors say traveling Tampa's path is not part of their plan.
When we move forward, we'll have learned from the mistakes of the Tampa Bays and the successes of the Portlands.
You don't use a driver on a putting green. Different tools for different situations. This is the right place to do a streetcar.